Hey, my name is Joss, and this is Van Life. Sweet. Like this particular mug that I have, this is my friend's, his family's coffee shop in Portland, which is funny because I use this for my sewing. So when I was sewing, I was like, hey, does anybody have a cup? And he was like, I got one. And I was like, dude, thanks. Shout out to them. This is also my friend's like journals that they made. My friend actually designed them. And then her fiance is the one that helped kind of put the thing to a physical thing, and they kind of manufacture these journals. I didn't know that there's such a thing called bullet journaling, so I got into it. This is like basically their brand, and this is their dog, so they make these stickers. I met this dog, he really exists, and he's super cute. He's like the biggest pit bull you will ever meet, and he's huge, but he's so sweet. Like if you're Rich Clifford, like they're pit bulls. But this is her design, and this is their company called Dama. Which is a cool background. It has a kite, and this guy, if you guys ever watched the movie City of God, think City of God and Kite Wars. Literally, this dude as a kid would go find, like these kids would find paper, steel paper, whatever, and string and materials, and like that's what they had to play with. So there they are flying kites, and like you either steal a kite, destroy their kite, and that's what they did. And at one point, they didn't have any string, so he used like little thin piece of copper and literally got electrocuted because he flew his kite by the wire. So crazy story, but that's the base of their company. And they actually manufacture. They make markers as well, which is cool. I kind of helped them do a project with them, so it was really cool to be able to create in a space and kind of utilize all their skills. So at one point, you know, somebody's on one computer designing, other person is, looking over their web store and stuff like that, and I was there shooting and editing. So that was a really cool space to work in their office in Colorado. So shout out to them. Let's see what else I got here. This is basically storage for my clothes, like different sections. Like I got socks, tight shirts, short sleeve shirts, pattern shirts. I like to wear a lot of patterns, so I needed small compartments to kind of be able to put my clothes. Folding and rolling is going to be your best techniques. I kind of just put all these fairy lights in it because, you know, that way I can see and has a little bit of color. I put these little vines and little fairy lights and plants up here, vines up here as well, because, you know, I wanted the elements and plants to make it a little feel homey. These were actually props that I had for shoots that I used to do, and so I was like, hey, I have it, why not use it for myself? This section is just basically holds. These little containers are basically kind of simple. They're really, hold on. They basically just hold my books and everything like that, and journals, which are nice, and easy pockets for things that I need. My pen collection, I have a lot of colors, everything I can manage in, from markers to all of that. I kind of organize it by like types of pens and colors. I have my string collection that I have. I'm obsessed with different color string. I do a lot of string art. I make, I don't know, I just like mixed media art, whether if it's like photography or video, but I love doing things physical and drawing. I don't have it with me, but maybe I could show you a picture. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a piece that I did, and it's basically just, I think I was trying to show you a picture. Oh man. And now I'm trying to find this thing. No. I had too many adventures. Never mind. I literally have too many adventures. But basically, just string it. I just took paper and like paint samplings, like cut them, did a mosaic, and then I love doing string and kind of taping that, putting it together. So I got a lot of string, and then my tape collection is excessive because you need temporary fixes, whether it's going to be Gaffer's Gorilla Glue, you know, glue tape or Gaffer's tape, vinyl tape, electrical tape, super glue. I mean, these are just things that, you know, you need sometimes. Obviously more markers and colors. Yeah, these are just like art supplies that I'm still not done decorating that I want to put together. And these are some of my sunshades that I have here. Every window has a different pattern, and I didn't want everything to be the same. I love clashing patterns, so this is material that I had like left over that I sewed. I did one side pattern, the other side purple, because I didn't have back fabric. Just kind of use what you had. And this was a challenge to do. And then I put like ribbon. I mean, if I had a chance to do this again, I will probably do it again and show an easier way of doing this so you don't spend so much time sewing, because this was very extensive to kind of make it look nice. I got a crash course on how to like I guess manually manufacture these. That doesn't make sense. But like sew these things and accent, it just takes a lot of work. And I think if you have the time and the space to be able to do it, it looks awesome. You know, to each their own. Some people just use the, you know, you can't see it, but they're like the silver part. It looks like the Tin Man inside or a spaceship. I didn't like the look personally, and I like color. Why not? My favorite piece in here is my Cactus Light. Okay, so this is like my favorite piece in my whole fan conversion or car conversion is my Cactus Light. My cousin gave me this. We have a thing for cactus, desert plants, because we're, you know, we're kind of desert plants. We can kind of grow everywhere, anywhere. We need minimal water, or we retain and save water, and it's kind of cool. I can turn it off and turn it on. Kind of turn. I use this as my my night light if I need that extra thing that's right by me. And let's see. This is the other sunshade. So for ventilation, if like anybody's ever asking, like I'll either put the back windows a little bit down. And what I did, I saw somebody else who did it on their thing, and basically, I guess I'll start from the front. I have the pattern here. I have a flap that I put on this side so that I can have ventilation. And then if you could see here, netting. This is basically bug net or screen netting to prevent the mosquitoes, because when I first started sleeping in my car in the summertime, it was really, really hot, and at nighttime, like I would have my windows down, and I used to have these like sleek black things that you can put on the covers. I mean, they were nice, and that's probably a cheaper alternative, but like everybody has, and I want something different. But I saw somebody who used this and kind of figured it out. It just took some time, and I basically use Velcro. Velcro is nice, but if you're in a hotter climate, like the sun will melt the adhesive, so I had to go back and sew these on for that side. And then here I have like a peep window, so if I kind of like want to see what's going on without like being like, oh no, like taking out everything, I can literally like pull this back. On the outside it'll still say black or dark, and then I can do that, and after that I close. So this is one of the shades on this side. Let's see, I don't know, blankets on this side, shades. I got lots of pillows. This particular pillow Allie kind of made. I had extra fabric for this, got a pillow and kind of sewed it together, and now it's like a funky pillow that's really soft. So these are my side doors. This actually became like a happy accident, so to speak. On the other side, I have the frame of the bed kind of cinched out there, but because where I positioned it and built it and the awkward shape of the car, I wasn't able to close my door with the bed frame, meaning this had like a handle that stuck out here, and then there was like compartments that you could put things in, but because of this handle from the door was blocking and taking space, I had to take it off. And I could have just done it to one side, but I was like, well, I don't want to do it to both. So I had extra of this like wood paneling, which was on my ceiling and my roof, and I basically took out all this paneling, and it's like basically bare, nothing under there, ironically. And so this was actually really difficult to do. As far as like tracing, getting this particular shape, it had to be kind of exact or else my door wouldn't close. What we did was cut it out, trace it. I had to make a hole for the speaker to make sure that like that was gonna stick out because it's not flush. Like you can see, this is like where the door handle. I probably might put molding around here just to make it look nicer. But I had to figure out how to have this on here. And then with the window, this is like the switch. Usually that's by the door. You would push down and press up. Well, like since I'm not using this function that way, I wanted up to be up and down to be down. I had to jimmy this and kind of like tape, and I put insulation on here too because the window, like cold air seeps through anything and you want to insulate that. So basically cut this out. Tony, my friend Tony, basically helped me cut it out. Took a jigsaw saw and kind of cut these particular things out. It had a couple of tries. It wasn't like exact, but you know, you make it work. You're not looking for perfect. You're looking for, all right, cool, I think that works. And then what we did was I had to pre-drill all of these holes first, get a clamp for this to stay, and then pre-drill, which was hard. Like drilling through metal and not going all the way to not penetrate the glass was a challenge. It's a lot of like heavy work. But then I learned a technique of like how you're actually supposed to drill through metal. You're supposed to add pressure and actually go slow, but not like trigger and go fast, because you're gonna burn through and you're gonna break your bit. So that's a tip. Like you're not trying to go fast, you're trying to go slow, steady, and just cut through, and then it'll be like butter, is what I learned. These screws are basically self-tapping screws. They're for metal, so they're meant for metal. Even though this is like a wood grain, this is not the screws that you would use for this for particular wood. But because it's going through metal and there's nothing like a nut that I can go behind it, this will self-lock it and not like pull out. I went through a couple screws. I thought I needed a 1/2 inch. Oh my God, I learned fractions as far as measurements. It is so hard. It took me a long time. When they say measure twice and then cut once, yeah, I probably measured a couple of times. I probably cut more a couple of times, but you just keep doing it until you do it right. And you learn how much mistakes you want to make because that's also your materials. So I was also budgeting for that, but I had to figure out which screws were going to be long enough to go. So that was a challenge, but this is as far as this particular goes, and it's on the other side as well. And then these again for the flaps. So this is like for ventilation. I put my window down, air can go through. And if I wanted to do a peephole, I can look through here. Just wanted to have different options to be able to stay stealth if I'm dwelling in the city and you know, want any peeping toms. So for the most part, no one can really see in. And I like that. Like I want to be able to protect what I have in there. So that's another tip, is just like I learned to literally just drive with my rear view mirrors now. I keep my back closed, and I just really want to keep my private space contained. And then just on the front side, like on the outside looks like a regular car, which is awesome. In the front, I try not to have anything, and that's how, I don't know, I stay in the flow. I don't make it, in the inside, crazy lights and everything like that. Outside, super plain. And that's how you just make it work. Yeah, and I guess on this side, I'll show you my shoes. So on this side, this is like, I guess, my shoes. This was actually gifted from a friend who is moving, so thank you, friend. And I basically kind of wrapped it around my back, or my headrest, and shoes. Just different options, different things. I actually have snowshoes too, which are hiding underneath my car seat. And on here is my cooler that I have. It was pretty much good space. I mean, it's good enough for me. Like, I don't really need much if I'm doing it. I also have the option of plugging this in, so it's a 12 volt, which is, and so instead of buying ice, that's another way of keeping things cool. This section, I know you can't see, but I just have food in here. It's still getting organized, but it's just like little cubbies from this side. And then this is basically my freaking EcoFlow River. Yeah, EcoFlow River 600 or something. This battery is freaking awesome. I took time to research some batteries. I mean, the the Jockery isn't like one option that I was going to go for, but I saw that this particular battery had a good deal. They have a really cool Kickstarter story on how they kind of came up. What I loved about this battery is I needed enough juice to be able to power like my laptop and my gear, because like there's a lot of batteries I need to charge, and I wanted to be able to go more than a day or two without using my car battery as an option. So this particular thing I can use on productions anywhere. I've sewn literally different places out in nature with this, which is really cool. It holds enough juice to plug in. So for my lights, that's how I have it plugged in, and which is cool. I can kind of see how many hours I have left. If I'm using this amount of light, I got 47 hours. Right now my thing is at 89%, and it kind of shows you how much is coming in. I love this because just reading this is just going to tell me everything I really need to know. It's simple. The light flashes, I have USB-C, I have 3 USBs. To me, what was more important was I needed more USBs. I wanted that option, but for real, I needed like 3 outlets. Of course, yeah, for here, I do have, what do you call it? Like an extension cord that has like USBs and other plugins, but I also want to be mindful of how much power I actually have, because it's not coming from a house outlet. This is coming from here. So that was something that that was important to me to have an option, just because you never know, you have different things plugged in. But this thing is pretty awesome. It's it's a decent heavy weight. You can work out with this. But I love it. And it also came with, or I also got the solar panels from it, which come in like a big flat box. I guess I can show you. So at any time I can like literally put it on my roof if I'm boondocking or on the side. I've used it, which is really cool to kind of see live and hear and how much power you're pulling in from the sun. I realized that like sunlight is also, when it's bright, that's the best. If it's going to be cloudy, you're not going to be getting enough. You're not going to be absorbing enough power or generating power from the sun from that way. And so there's like different positions that you got to move the sun, was what I've learned to be able to get power. But the one feature that I love about this is that it can go literally from 20%, literally 20% to 80% in 1 hour. So less than 1 hour, your battery is going to be fully charged. And this has but basically like 100 hours worth. But like these lights that I'm using, like these are battery powered, one thing, but these like LED lights that I use, they really don't use too much power. The thing that does suck a lot of power is basically going to be my laptop or anything that I'm plugging into this alternate. But I can have parties for days with this thing. Got it. Oh yeah, so in case you were wondering, I got weapons everywhere. Seemed like a good place to do it. I sleep on the side and kind of keep that here. It is not sharp, but it's like a prop knife, I think. Weapons, just gotta have weapons. These are my back curtains. I made these and sewed these. I basically got like rope and I kind of screwed them into the side. It kept on changing. I might redo them. But I sewed one side to be black, which is on the side that you're gonna see in the front, or if people in the passenger seat were seeing it. And then the other side, I wanted the pattern. So that way, this enclosed space was gonna be complete with that, and why not? And then I kind of strung some like more vine leaves up here to kind of have it like that homey vibe, so you don't feel like you're in a car. So this is my ceiling. This was really hard to install and cut out. Basically, when I was taking out, there was like a center seatbelt that was up in this particular area. In order to take that out, since I didn't want to have it, I'm not gonna have a center seatbelt. I had to take out the paneling, or this like thin strip that was covering the wall and curved. And it was a challenge to take that down. So I basically, in the back, I had to kind of score or cut it across and then like literally rip it out. And be careful, because there was this light that was here for this picture, and I still wanted to be able to use it. So I had to make sure the string was that, and I insulated this whole top which was great. And I needed it because my car is black on the outside, so all it does is just suck heat or retain the heat and gets really hot. So the Reflectix, even though it's like some thin, like literally bubble, it's basically bubble wrap with foil tape. Like that's what Reflectix is, if you're wondering what that is. But it's in these sheets. I covered this whole thing. It made a tremendous difference. I could feel literally the degrees kind of like keeping this cool, especially because I built this literally in the summertime. Well, actually no, because it's California, so October. It was still so hot. But after I took it out, put the insulation in, so much cooler. And then at that point I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? I basically was like, these panels that were, I saw from the community I am, they use different materials, and this was something that they used for covering up different walls or bunk beds that they had created. And I wanted a wood grain as far as something thin. Weight was another thing that I had to keep in mind. So I had to literally lay paper all over this thing. Oh my God, I could just start crying. It was a nightmare to freaking do, because remember, like, this wasn't here. So I'm basically like, I remember on my back trying to like measure out everything precisely, because this is a straight cut. It had to be exact or it wasn't going to fit. And just doing that alone was very hard. So like, if you're trying to build something by yourself, know it's going to be coming with a lot of challenges. It's so helpful to have another second eye, another pair of hands. Like honestly, when I was like building this thing, like I literally was on my back and my feet and hands like this. So once I did, I had to pre-drill every freaking hole all over it. Just so happens I used a lot of holes, which meant there was going to be a lot of work, but it's fine. I wanted the look at it, I wanted this feel, and I just basically committed to it. So it took a long time to do it, but when it was done, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much like a relief it was. Because for a while when you're building this, like you're gonna go through phases where you're like, oh my God, I'm not seeing any progress. Like, what happened? I spent all this time. Well, you're gonna spend time researching, something's gonna go wrong. And what I learned, that like when one thing goes wrong, 5 other things that you had planned are not gonna work now. So now you have to rethink and change. And I think just remaining flexible is like kind of a key thing. You kind of like let it run off your back, right? Like water off of duck's back, and just kind of tread water in a different way. But when you see like progress, when I was building out the frame and seeing this put together and then just creating shades, like any type of progress in that physical element, you just, I don't know, it just makes you proud to see it, because then you remember how much like like the struggles or the troubleshoots that you had. And at the end of the day, I don't know, I had to remind myself, like, no one else is doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing. Like, no one's gonna know how I want it. Like, I want to build it. At the end of the day, it's like, it's for me, and like, this is just another hook. And yeah, like, I think that's like something that you need to like kind of remember when you're building it, because it is gonna get frustrating. It is gonna suck sometimes. It's gonna be super hard. You're gonna spend so much. Oh, and timing wise, everybody thinks they're gonna do it in like a week, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. No, reality check. It's gonna take 10 times longer than you think. I mean, sure, if you've been building this like your whole life and different things, you're gonna get better at it, you're gonna get faster at it, but certain things take time. And if you're gonna build something, why not take the time to build it right in a way, and like learning things. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Honestly, I've made tons of mistakes. I'm not saying everything in here is perfect, but it works. And I think just staying in that kind of flow, you'll have more enjoyable process. And I think what's really cool was actually building it with other people at the same time. That's also helpful. That's what we pretty much have at Art Farm going on, is just other van lifers or RVers kind of renovating or fixing their things and taking that journey. And you never know like what's gonna help you from the next. Like, I built this on a ranch. I built this outside my friend's storage in Colorado. I built this in my friend's garage. Like, thankfully it was like insulated, so thank you, Terrence. But like, it doesn't matter. Like, I had friends who literally go out in the middle of the desert to build his van, you know? So that's what I love about like this particular space and like us life. Like, you can make it what you want to make it. And, you know, they say that like nothing has meaning but the meaning you give it. So whatever you have in your life, you know, give a good meaning. Make it like personalized to you. And there's like no one set way to do things. And you're gonna learn a couple of things. So, you know, don't beat yourself out of it, just keep at it. And who knows, you might have a funky car just like this.
Got free